3, 2, 1, yeah. Go.
This is episode number 28 of Dev Branch. Turn on, plug in, drop out.
Oh yeah, Dev Branch.
I'm Jason Tucker. Go over to my fabulous website over at jasontucker.blog.
I say read, and then I don't know. Oh yeah, I mean you can go to that website if you want, but it's not super useful. At Say Read Media in all the places.
And y'all know who it is. It's your boy Jason Cosper, aka Fat Mullenweg, back at it again on the world's most influential WordPress podcast.
And it's a podcast, so go find us wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. And then come hang out with us in Discord, which is where you should be hanging out if you're playing games and whatnot. Because we have a lot of fun over there.
Shoot, where are we?
But we won't play games with you.
We won't play games with you. We will not.
We won't play games with your heart.
We will change our website every once in a while, and we just recently did that, so feel free to go take a look at it and tell us what you think about it in our Discord.
That's the one we should have on my profile. Like, that's the one that gets updated. I mean, I don't do it, but you know, it's
the water cooler site. Wait,
like
come on.
Self-referential, like back to itself. I mean, here I am. You're here. We are.
You should be updating the website that you make money with.
That website doesn't make me any money. What are you talking about? The websites I make for my clients make me money. The website,
yeah, but
my
people
website makes me
know
no money.
to go there.
I mean, this is the problem of scale.
You don't tell this to your clients, right?
This is actually related to our conversation today because this is a problem of scale. There is
you don't tell this to your clients, right?
There's a very hard scale, and I have periodically have hired contractors or whoever to do some things, but that's hard to find people who can do that. And hiring an employee who's taking on a set amount of work each month that you have to pay in order to, consistently grow so you can handle more than, 4 active clients at a time. Like that is as a scaling problem because you have to get in like, I'm not willing to take on employees unless I am able to pay them for at least 6 months, like 3 months, right? Like I need at least 3 months of their full payment in the pocket because I wait for some checks because my clients, some of the government clients, they do not pay quickly. It's not a quick process. The turnover is long. So it's a problem of scale. And that is a problem that faces a lot of small businesses that jump from solopreneur to, agency. I mean, technically we're an agency because there's 2 of us, whatever. But like,
so don't send any clients your way is what you're saying.
Not right now, please.
just redirect your website to water cooler then if that's what you want
to do. That's what I'm saying. See, then it really will be self-referential. Anyway, I wanted to pull this back to what we're talking about today on Dev Branch, which is plugins, if you didn't get it from our super chilled out title. The problem of scale and of solopreneurship really is something that is really faced daily by plugin developers specifically. And I know Cosper, you're going to be able to speak to this as, someone who you don't even freelance plugins. It's just like a side hobby. Like it's not even
bored.
Not a side hustle. It's like literally like just like a fun thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or like a little tiny thing you can take care of. That's like a plant that you like getting a cactus or something. Like it's going to be all right. It's just going to be there. You maybe need to water it every once in a while, but like taking that to the next level would involve an entire lifestyle change.
Exactly. Yeah. So if for those of you who aren't aware and haven't been following me over on the Fediverse on Mastodon, I've been
those of you who
churning
are not
out
on Cosper's every post.
I know. I should be blogging, so there would be like an RSS feed you could follow, and then that way you wouldn't have to seek
for your audience.
me out.
I mean, really, absolutely. You could just post about it in the Discord. That's probably the best place.
Say on the website you could write it on.
It's called WP Water Cooler.
So I have kind of been doing some stuff around plugins lately that mainly, and it's kind of always been like my overarching theory on making plugins is like scratch your own itch. Like if you are If you are running into a problem, despite the phrasing of that, um,
It's fine.
if
That's a common phrase in English for sure.
yes, absolutely. But if you're running into a problem, if you're running into some sort of limitation or anything like that, instead of complaining about it, and I mean I do that plenty, but I
Have
finally,
a show about
uh,
it.
yeah, absolutely. But
Professional complainer.
really, the best way to complain is to make something to fix the problem that you're actually having. So
It's
there have
definitely
been,
that's definitely the most mature and reasonable way to deal
for
with it.
sure. And I don't want anyone to go and accuse me of being mature.
Or
However,
reasonable.
yes. Um, but so like I have sort of been running into a few limitations, a few things that I wish would work differently. And so I started building plugins earlier this year. Actually at the beginning of the year I released a plugin called Biscotti, which is just basically
Love
a
it.
way of making your logged in user session cookie last more than like the default 2 weeks that WordPress does. And I set it
Love the
to have
title.
the option.
I eat it like
Yeah.
as if it were a long cookie. I eat the
Yes.
biscotti.
Long cookie
Perfection.
is long. Yeah. So you pick that. I just kind of got tired of logging in. I'm sure if we had I'm sure if we had Robert Raleigh on, he would be telling us right now why that may be a misguided idea, but it wasn't misguided enough for them to accept it in the WordPress
For
plugin
them to not
directory.
accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it
So
got accepted, right? It's in there.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
hanging out in there.
Go get some
And
cookies.
yes. One of the kind of complaints that I got from folks, or just, I mean, not even a complaint really. It was just a gentle suggestion of like, hey, I would love to not like, I would like to set my admin user to have like a 3-month cookie or a 6-month cookie without having to like log in as the admin user on the first throw. So can you do something about like, making maybe a WP CLI command? So while I'm spinning up the site, like the scripts that I fire off that pre-install this and do that. So I finally like settled in over the last long weekend that we had, and added that WP CLI command. And it wasn't necessarily to like kind of fit my use case or like scratch my itch, but I put this plugin out there for folks to use and got feedback, made that minor addition, and now like you can set a long user cookie, long login cookie for your users. Someone else hit me up in like DMs and was like, can you do this so I can set this for every user on my site? And I I don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I want to necessarily enable that, especially since I've seen sites with like tens of thousands of users, and I don't want to think of like the query and the looping that would have to happen to like do that and apply that
So
setting.
so long cookie for 10,000 people not aside. um what about, like, I think that part where you're talking about you're taking suggestions from users, people are hitting you up in DMs. That's exactly what I was talking about in terms of the scaling. Like, it's kind of an inherent thing, right? You put something out there, people start using it, they want it to do other stuff, they want it to work for this. And so now, instead of just having one thing that does one thing, and you have to keep that up to up to code, basically.
Mhm.
Now you've got things coming in over here and requests over here. And even if you draw a firm boundary and you say, no, I'm only doing this, adding features if they're useful to me individually, then that still takes up headspace. That still takes up space in your DMs, in your, just replying to those people. Excuse me. I think I'm getting sick again. Yay, toddlers.
No.
The best. Anyway, that's the conundrum, and you're already facing it, right? You put out this super useful little like kind of one hit wonder. I mean, you've had other hits. They got bought out by like WP Engine. Every time I see the strong password, Force strong password plugin, I think of you. So that was Cosper's, everyone. Now it's WP Engines. Is it still your name on there?
I mean, my name is still technically on there. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I never even sold it to them. I just said, I don't want to do this anymore. Will someone who like you people seem to be the only ones that are still using it, because they built in sort of like, hey, don't set your passwords so weak, like nudge already in the WordPress dashboard. They updated it so it's like, hey, your password is weak. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah,
So
I mean,
like,
I think it saves them. Like, if you think about it from a host perspective, that's an extra layer of secure. Like, a lot of the problem is insecure passwords, right? Like, that's a big problem, especially for not super active sites. And those become, that is something I think that benefits them greatly, to have just an extra, they could opt out of, screw you, I'm calling it admin 123. But like, I think that is really a great, something that they should do and force on. It helps them in the long run. So it makes sense
funny,
that they want to keep it.
Yeah, what's funny is because they forced that that plugin on via MU plugins, I like ended up having to write something that would disable Force strong passwords, because you would remove it from the must use plugins and WP Engine's system would drop it back into place as part of like.
So now you unhack your own program?
Basically.
Or you hack your own program. That's what you do, not unhack. Well, you turn it, you uninstall it essentially, or you turn it off. Well, you're the ones who know how to neutralize it, so I guess that makes sense.
Right, it's still installed, but I just short circuit it.
It's like you neuter it. Spay and neuter your plugins, folks. You're here to
absolutely.
Yeah. Your plugins. That is our new. I am going to make. You heard it here first. I'm going to make stickers for WordCamp US that says that. Saying this is going to be on there. And it's just going to be so niche right to this moment. All right. Anyway, so I that is a plugin that you were like, I'm done. I'm passing this on. So like it's moved on, right? And what about this biscotti, right? Like you've got people wanting things. What do you think about like? I think this is the point that you're at with that people is the dropout part of the turn on plugin dropout, right? Like,
yeah,
it's
sounds
like
about right.
Piece out of that support. What let the forum things go unanswered. Don't worry about updating anything. Basically like a ghost in the machine, like these ghost plugins that get in there, and then there's lots of them in there. They get tagged, right? They get tagged not used or whatever. But I wonder, I tried to look the other day on the plugin repo as part of the From Blogs to Blocks campaign. I was trying to like link to really specific useful points for people for their prompts. And I had never done this before, but I went to the plugin repo and I tried to do, there's no filtered searching. I tried to do like a search for like, oldest plugin that doesn't exist. So you might be able to do it on the Mirror site, which is on GitHub, but which is like, it's like the mirror of SVG. That's the other things on. No, that's the image.
SVN.
SVN. I was like, that's not right. SVG is not right. Thank you. I know what I'm talking about. SVN, right? So the SVN server is mirrored on GitHub. So you could, in theory, go sort stuff there. I did not try to do that. But yeah, the plugin repo is one search box. No sort by no criteria. Like there is a little bit of criteria inside your admin, right? You can search by like different dots, whatever. Anyway, I couldn't find it on the repo, or maybe I just didn't look hard enough. The other day I didn't find t-shirts either, but they do exist. So maybe I just suck at interneting now. But my point is that like we can't, I don't know how many plugins are in there that are, you know, tiny little features that are maintained or updated periodically, which ones are like, you know, out of the loop, which ones are bought by a big company. Like there's just a lot of really like trust, I guess, that happens with the plugin repo. I've been I was doing some research on member plugins, as I do periodically. I'm like, is there anything better out there for this use case? And I was just really interested by my options. I thought that they were weirdly, I don't know. It's like you have so many, right? There's 60,000 plugins in there, and it's like, what are they all doing?
Right. So this is actually a great segue, because another itch of mine that I was scratching. I'm just going to keep using this until
go with it.
Yeah.
There's lots of mosquitoes right now. So
yeah. Especially around here. Nobody needs the Bakersfield mosquito report, but it's bonkers here. So
anyway.
Another plugin that I've been working on, I picked up development on a plugin that ironically was abandoned in the WordPress plugin repository, and the plugin it covers the use case of like, show me what plugins I use that have been abandoned. So I was like, okay, well, I feel like I used the plugin enough, like back in the day. I was like, you know what? I've still kind of used this. It kind of stopped like working the last few versions. Like I had it give me some like, you know, errors in WP-CLI while I was trying to run something else, even though it didn't contain a WP-CLI command. But I picked up development of it, kind of modernized the code a little bit. It's called Plugin Last Updated Redux, or PLU Redux. I couldn't think up a cute name for this one. I'm sorry.
I mean, Redux is kind of catchy, you know. I don't know what PLU, Plugin Last Updated. I figured it out.
Yeah, you. So when I submitted it. When I submitted it to the WordPress repository, you cannot say plugin in the name of your plugin. That is one of the limitations. So
is it like you can't say the? You can say the. You can say the events calendar. Just right, everything would be like. Is that just because? I wonder if that's because it's just like too useless of a term, or
right. Yeah, it's I know you can't say like WordPress or WooCommerce, like you can't call out like specific.
Yeah, but those are things that have trademarks. Plugin doesn't have a trademark, right. So that's more probably more just so it's like not like the best plugin on the planet, or like, you know, the only plugin you'll ever need for forms.
So as I kind of brought the code on PLU Redux up to date, I was like, well, I can add a few features, because I wanted the plugin to be back in the repo, and I couldn't get a hold of anybody who was listed as a developer on Plugin Last Updated, so I could like take it over and adopt the plugin. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to submit this. If I'm going to submit this, they also have rules, rightfully so, around like forking the code, changing the name to something else, and then you're just an offshoot.
That's what was happening right at the beginning of the AI influx into the plugin repo, when it was when the flood began, when everyone was just cloning, because ChatGPT was cloning the things in the repo, because it's read that code. If it's been in there for a while, right, it's like read all your code. So like, right, I'm sure it's read the WordPress GitHub repo. Why wouldn't it? So it knows all that stuff. So it was literally churning out, even if someone wasn't copying it, it was churning. It was like, oh, this code exists. Bloop, bloop, here you go. Like, so unintentionally, people could be copying code. It could be cloned code, unknown cloned code.
Sure. And there
Cool.
were
like that phrase.
policies, just recently announced about like, hey, like maybe don't submit AI like created plugins to the repository because you don't know where that code comes from.
Also, if you don't know what the code is doing because you didn't write it, or at least especially if you don't even understand it, then you don't know what the plugin is doing. So like that starts to become, that's interesting from like I know there's people who have given up their plugins for adoption by companies that are not development companies. Like a few plugins we've talked about over the years have been adopted by like marketing firms or whatever. And then they outsource the plugin development, right? Because they're not plugin developers. And you can like the code like literally goes downhill. You can tell the difference. You know, it starts to have it. There's a difference in making your own code. It's like, you know, crafting something versus buying something at IKEA. It's just, you know, they're different. That's all there's to it. So I think that happens a lot when plugins get bought. They're you know, their bespokedness kind of goes away.
Absolutely. But so when I picked this plugin up and started doing my own development on it, I went ahead and, like I said, brought the code up to snuff and made sure that everything was cool there, and that it stopped spitting out like random errors at, you know, particular times. But then I went ahead and added a couple ways to audit like your outdated plugins, because it doesn't show up when you do like a WP plugin list on WP CLI. It doesn't show like when the plugin was last updated. So I was like, okay, wrote a custom command for that. So now you'll get an output of like all the dates that the plugin was last updated if you want to do an audit that way. And also managed to put together something a little more user friendly than WP CLI, because WP CLI is great for myself, Tucker. I don't know how much you use WP CLI.
I have so many feelings about it.
Right. So like it's
by the way, WP CLI was itself was a plugin, and then it got absorbed into core, right? Wasn't it a plugin?
I mean, it's not a plugin. It is like a wholly like separate set of.
Oh, holy!
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a holy relic. You know.
It's a wholly separate like set of scripts that can be and components that you can use to basically like interface with your WordPress installation.
Right. Yeah. It's a PHP archive that gets downloaded.
Yeah. Right. See, this is how much I know about it. I have intended to learn about it, but I really can't get past the name. But that's all right.
Not everybody knows how to use WP CLI. Like they shouldn't be expected to. Like it is a tool for the folks watching Dev Branch. Like really, honestly. But what I ended up doing is I was like, okay, well that audit is there. You can kind of get a list of like what's outdated, what's up to date, like, you know, sort of sort through that yourself.
That sounds so useful for when you take over a site. Like really, like if you get a new client who has an existing site, that seems like even beyond logging in and getting in, I guess, you know, you'd have to log in anyway, but just getting a report like this of all of their plugins and like, you know, their information, like that seems really useful, because I do that manually. Get my plugin list, you know?
Well, so what I did for folks who aren't command line comfortable. So for folks who aren't command line comfortable, I added site health check. So when you actually like go and load up site health in it's under tools. So like tools, site health. If you have any plugin that is older than 2 years, which is normally when the plugin repository shows you know, hey, this plugin hasn't been updated in 2 years. Like, here's a little warning. So like I basically put that warning into the dashboard for folks.
It's so great.
And yeah, so
Smart.
It's wonderful.
it doesn't list off. I mean, I'll keep taking this praise all day. That's great.
We're not blowing smoke. That's a very useful tool, especially for, you know, it's nice to not like just to have it like there, right? It's like getting status reports on the websites. It's just nice to be like, oh, I gotta, you know, that needs a thing. Or it's so hard to keep track of all of the plugins and when they're updated, even, or when they're not, even if you have enable updates on everything. I guess really,
Yeah.
especially if you have enable auto updates now, because, you know, at this point it would still update, right? I mean, you would think that it would be updating, and you wouldn't necessarily, unless you're manually going into your plugins list and checking, right? It's
that old
updated, or it's whatever. Yeah.
It's that old Ronco rotisserie grill infomercial. You just set it and forget it.
Forget it, right?
Yeah, you turn on those auto
really
updates.
One of the dangers of auto updates, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely can be, but having something there that says, hey, like a little check engine light that flashes,
It's like, hey, your credit card's going to expire on this domain name. You should come change it. That would be a tool too.
That little dot.
Oh my gosh, that's literally Cosper's next. It's gonna check the domain that you're currently using and then tell you where you registered it and how you should go renew it.
I mean, gosh, that would actually be super helpful information in the dashboard, because then you would your clients
don't
would be like,
I've got enough on my plate. Please don't let my boss hear that. Oh my god.
Up this stuff for you.
But it's cool because it will actually show up. So like if you're in your WordPress dashboard and you hover over tools and then site health, if there is an alert there, if there is like a warning there, it will give you that little like dot with a number in it of like, you know, one thing or three things or whatever, but it shows up in that like little dot. So like it's effectively a little check engine light on your website to say, hey, and what it does is it lists off your plugins and says these ones are out of date, and then directs you and says you may want to look at something that is updated a little more frequently, and then points you to the WordPress plugin directory.
Just a generic thing, not a filtered search off keywords or anything.
No,
just like go have fun in here. Well, you can't land it on a filtered search anyway, I don't think,
right?
Unless you were doing it inside your. I wonder if you can do it inside your plugin repo admin. That would be interesting. Like, you know, just like, I don't know. Sorry. Let's just make your plugin more complicated, like as we do here. Maybe we should do a dev branch where you just develop and we tell you, we like armchair develop behind you. We're like, missed the semicolon.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Can you close that? Are you gonna close that line? Close that line.
Right.
Close that line, Cosper. Okay, sorry. Just kidding. I won't do it like in joke either. It's enough like that.
I know that we're coming very short on time, but Courtney mentioned another thing that I did recently, which is I made this script for like a user script. If you have something like Grease Monkey or Tamper Monkey, basically it's just a little bit of JavaScript that gets inserted on particular pages, in this case on make.wordpress.org. And it says, hey, and this is actually, I did this after Tucker was complaining. He was going to a site and saw that he's like, oh, the page loaded. What did you say, Tucker? The page loaded, and then the welcome box. You thought that's what you were supposed to read.
I read the entire welcome box, and then I was like,
"Oh,
what the hell, dude? Like, why? What does this pertain?" I looked at it and was like, "Oh, I've seen this before." So I just didn't read the rest of the content because I was like, "Oh, I've already read this."
Right. So I basically made something that's just a little bit of JavaScript that only runs on make.wordpress.org. And then, yeah, it automatically hides the welcome box. So anytime you view a page, you just get to the content you're actually trying to look at. That
wow, this is like niche, but I feel like we should like really tell the WordPress community about this because I'm all about like cutting down on interference between getting people the information, and it is confusing every time. This is something that is definitely will be. I think Make is getting redesigned, but this has not been revisited in a long time. So what a great little tool. I love it.
Like it's like that whole like time to first byte, time to first this. It's like time for like actual information that I need to read, and I have to I have to scroll down an entire page. It's like
some of the teams have a very long welcome box. I've tried to shorten the marketing teams.
Try to do this on mobile. That's what sucks is you do it on mobile and the whole damn thing is like talking about how welcome blah blah blah, and I'm just
this is very a side point, but all of the quotes so I wrote out a bunch of like posts lately for the From Blogs to Blocks campaign, still happening. You can still go sign the birthday card, and you can like the quotes are literally like the quote blocks and the pull quotes are literally that gray box. Like that's the style. And I'm like, oh, this is it's bland. It's bland on bland. And I hope with the new redesign, we're able to get some unbland going. I think we'll be able to do it. I think
Otto in the comments is saying, why am I blowing away cookies? It's because I'm using like 5 different computers when I'm doing testing. And so I have them on each one of them.
Stop nuking the cookies.
So now I have to go to each computer and then, surgically removed cookies. I was like, forget it.
Yeah, if you add make welcome, that means you have to do that like every time you load anything? How does
like
that
with I don't know.
No, if you load a like a custom CSS file, you could absolutely do that. But for someone
I could just build that into like Chrome or something.
But on mobile,
my own CSS onto a website. I've never thought about.
I go back to mobile. If you can't do it on mobile like easily, then
I'm gonna just travel around with my own CSS file on like literally every site. Be like, this is how I look at your website.
Yeah, I'm just gonna dress up as the welcome box for Halloween. That's gonna be my. I'm gonna be the welcome box.
I just want I really just
which make blogs welcome box. I'm sorry to say, but that is what we need to know is which make blogs welcome box are you going as?
Probably you should go to docs because docs will take up your whole body. Like marketing would just be like your head.
Well, we just have to use some shame is what it really comes down to.
Hold on, excuse me, hold on. I have to respond to something Otto saying in the comments. If you could pull that up there. I know what custom CSS is, Otto. Thank you very much. I've heard of it before. In fact, I just proposed that we name the marketing teams biweekly Zoom sessions. Wait for it. Collaboration and social session. I'm familiar with CSS. That doesn't mean that I'm traveling around with my own CSS files onto Make. Like if there's a problem that enough people have, we can solve it. But you solved it with your little browser script, so it's great. So we don't, I guess I am kind of traveling around with my own CSS.
I'm voting for Encore.
We could just do a redesign. That'd help too. Yeah. But don't worry, we're not coming for anyone's welcome boxes. It's not happening.
I'm just gonna bitch about it all the time. That's just my thing. It's just gonna be one of my things.
Like you are until we fix it. And you don't want to see any welcome boxes anymore because you know where the meetings are. Click the button.
What did I say earlier? I'm gonna put this on what we go out on. But what's the best way to complain? What's the best way to complain? It's to make things. Tucker, yes. You complained. I made a thing. Now everyone can benefit.
So now your next thing is
I don't have to do custom CSS because Cosper was bored. So
Cosper just needs to fix the media library next, and then I'm good. That's it. I can wash my hands from all the things.
That is quite a task. I don't think I can.
Weekend. It's Friday. Start it up. You'll have it done by Monday. It's all good.
Look what Courtney just said. Wait, you have to bring that up. We're totally going over with like, but this is exactly like literally this week it was edited. That's awesome. It is notoriously long. It really was. But it's docs, so you kind of expect that, right?
I'll be sure to read it a few
I'd be
times.
disappointed if they did not have a long welcome box. I got to go check it out now. Everyone to the welcome boxes. Let's go. Have a great weekend, everybody.
All right. See y'all later. Here's our outro.
Anybody's going to say anything, so I might as well.
Oh, I forgot.
Go to Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube. Check our stuff out.
Come talk about it stuff in the Discord with us because we like.